All right, you didn't make the Olympic team, which means I could probably take you down,
probably
right?
can.
So welcome to Spartan Up podcast from the lovely Amy Lodge in Pittsfield, Vermont. As you can see, Joe is not with us today because he's still recovering from this interview with the incredible wrestler Damion Hahn.
We're here at Cornell University with Damion Hahn, assistant wrestling coach to the championship team that's been going on like an incredible run for 25 years.
Yeah, we've had some good success here at Cornell, especially within the Ivies. We've won 12 straight Ivy League championships. That's unheard of and the longest streak in the Ivies. We've placed in the top 5 multiple times at the NCAAs, and coming from an Ivy League institution, that's unheard of as well, having no scholarships and the academic rigors that we have here. So it's we're in a phenomenal situation because we got the best of both worlds, academics and athletics.
Success is hard, but staying on top is even harder.
Absolutely.
You've stayed on top for 12 years. Is it the wide shoulders? What's doing?
I just think that we set a precedence, with the kids that we recruit, the people that we bring into our family, because that's what this is. This is more than just a school, more than just a wrestling team. This is a family, and there's something to be said about that because everybody feels down and out at certain times throughout their career, whether it be their social life, in the academic world or wrestling. And if you can't do it for yourself, you can do it for your family. And so we put a lot of pressure put on these kids, by their teammates, by this community. And I think they hold themselves to a higher standard. That's why we've been successful.
In other words, if you're going to come play here, you got to be at this level or don't bother.
We've had guys, that's one of the things about Cornell. We've been able to develop athletes more so than some of the other programs out there. And I think it's how we train our guys. The basic fundamentals of our program is unlike any other program out there. And I think we really truly get the best out of our kids.
You think there's a bunch of spying going on so other programs can figure out what you're doing?
It's no secret recipe. I mean, this is my job. My job is to be a parent, to be a coach, to be a trainer, a doctor, you name it. So this is what I get paid to do.
So for Spartans, we want to know how success is created, or is it not created? Is it born? Where does it come from? You've had success. Mm-hmm. Is it the program? Is it the students? Is it the combination?
I think there's an innate ability. I think
we're born with it. You're saying
to a certain extent. That fighter mentality. I mean, you look at anything in the world. I mean, look at animals. You got a dog, and how they pick the best one. If the dog runs away, they kind of shove him to the side. Can he be trained? Yeah, he can, but doesn't have that fighter mentality. And I think wrestlers in general, we have that instinct that we're fighters, and like you said, we're Spartans, and you can work with that. That never say die attitude and that work ethic that comes along with that. That is workable, that is manageable, that's trainable.
So you think just like the dogs in your example, you let a kid at a young age into the wrestling room, if he runs away, he's probably not made for that? Or is that something that can be forged?
You fake it until you make it, and I think you can work with that. But when push comes to shove,
the true champions
right? Will shine, and it does 90% of the time.
Yeah. And is there a place where you find these champions? Is there one part of the world? Is it like in Russia or Iran we were talking about earlier? Because they have such rough upbringings that maybe that's where they come from?
I do think that certain places, whether it be here in America or around the world, have that situation where they're fighting to survive, and there's a different mentality there. Us in the U.S., we're very fortunate, not everyone grows up like that. So, whether it be parents, how you were raised, I think play a huge major role in that, making it, putting obstacles in your way, putting things in front of you that you have to challenge yourself constantly. And that's what, I feel wrestlers do, on a day-to-day basis. They are being challenged mentally, physically.
So you think I'm maybe too easy on my kids? I was thinking, should we move? Like, let's say we really wanted to forge champions as kids. Should we move to like some rough place where we're sleeping on the dirt floor and maybe it's cold and maybe our kids have it too easy? I'm not opposed to moving. My wife is on the fence.
Yeah.
Is that a crazy idea?
Hey, if it works, I guess. I do think that there are different methods to get to the same point. But just
the Athenians versus the Spartans. I heard the Athenians had it a lot easier. The Spartans were rugged, but they were both pretty tough.
Yeah, they're both pretty tough. And, everyone has their different methods. And that, especially in our sport, you have guys, and we have national champions that if you get on them too hard, they're asking, why doesn't he like me? And they're a national champ. And then you got guys that say, I want you to beat me down. I want you to get on me and yell and scream. And so everybody, you got to find the right buttons to push with different kids. Everybody's motivated a little bit differently.
You might have just clicked something in my head, though. That room that these guys are working out right now, so we got a glimpse in there. That's kind of like living on a dirt floor and being in Siberia where it's cold, right? When you enter that room, it's pretty miserable.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Not just here, any wrestling room, right? I mean, you're working pretty hard.
You are.
And so if you made it 20 years and you're pretty rugged.
This sport isn't easy. And, for me, I'm a little biased, but I think this is the hardest and greatest sport in the world. Yep. There's a saying, Dan Gable, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Right. And so I think you're putting your time in here. Not only does this transcends into your life, and it's a foundation for the rest of your life. The things that you will learn here and build here, they transcend in every aspect, whether it be your business, whether it be your family, you're married, your wife, everything that you learn from this sport can be applied to everything else. So, yes, it's not fun. It's hard work. But the best thing about this sport is you put in this time, you put in all the effort, and the greatest thing is going out there and getting your hand raised. That's why you do it. If you're doing it to completely kill yourself every single day, to feel miserable, to cut weight and everything like that, something's a little loose, and we have guys that are like that. But the ultimate thing is going out there getting your hand raised, and you do whatever you have to, whether it be in the practice room on that mat to get that job done.
Let's take a break. We're going to take a break. We're going to do some burpees, and we'll be right back.
I hope you're not sitting still while you listen. If you are, you better get a burpee break in.
We're back and we're going to talk about coddling. I don't know what coddling has to do with wrestling, but you were saying earlier that some of these guys need different motivational techniques from you. I would just think you could just throw them a bucket of nails, they chew on some nails, and they get back to work.
You would think that, right?
Yeah.
But everyone's different. How and I think it goes back to how they were raised and how their parents handled situations. And there's no right or wrong reason. There really isn't. But you got to figure out what works best for each kid. So like going back from before, the national champs, All-Americans, that you got to kind of handle a little bit differently, speak to them a little bit differently. You're still going to get the same results, but it's how you communicate your relationship with them. And then you have the other guys that are just rugged and tough, and they got that grit that, hey, they want to be smacked in the face to go out there and just go to battle. So you're getting the same results out of different guys, but handling it, approaching it a little bit differently.
Wouldn't it be easier if they were all just rugged and you just said go to work?
Absolutely.
What do you think the right parenting process is? I have 4 children and I got to know, am I pushing too hard, not pushing enough?
I'm a father as well. I have 2 boys. Thank you. And there's a lot of things that I've learned through this sport, through my parents, through families in general, that you pick and choose what you want to do, how you want to raise your kids and whatnot. And like I said, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way, but putting them, challenging these kids.
Make it tough.
Make it tough on them. My son falls down. All right, get back up. It's right. I don't want to go coddle him. I don't want to go. Be too easy. But then again, there's that fine line that you got to walk. And
you think? Here's what I've been thinking about a lot. Do you think normal? If you charted normal like 100 years ago? We're talking about children and picking them up. That kid was out cleaning the stall, like getting the horse ready before we go across country and grandma dies along the way, right? Today, normal is, let's get them ice cream because, right? Normal just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, there's like I said, where's that fine line? You know, where do you draw the line? But then go back to the 2 national champs. Everyone needs something a little bit different. You know, the direction that they're going, the buttons that they need to be pushed. You know, there's that fine line again. You know, where does it stop? Where does it start? Where does it end?
Yeah.
You know,
you've come across these great guys, national level champs, etc. Where do they go from here? Like, let's say that wrestling is not their career for the rest of their life. Do you see them going into special forces? Do you see them running businesses? They're obviously tenacious.
Yeah. Most of our guys, they come here not only for their athletics, but their academics. And I would say at most places that's how it is. Our guys go on after college, whether they're still competing like Kyle Dake is, you know, trying to be on, win an Olympic and world titles. They go on and they go to business. They go on, they go to medical school. We've had guys that go into the service. So I think being a wrestler, coming from this mold, this breed that we are, there's always that innate ability to challenge yourself. You know, you're never done learning. You're never done learning. You're never done pushing yourself, whether it be physically, whether it be mentally, just to keep yourself sharp.
What are some of the lessons you pointed out that they learn here on the mat, or on any mat, right, wrestling, that they can apply to careers afterwards?
Well, I think structure. Structure is important. Discipline. You know, they can't just go in there and do what they want to do and just, you know, like have daycare. You know, that's not what this is. You know, there's structure involved. There are fundamentals that our guys need to know, need to learn if they want to compete at this level. So that the structure, the fundamentals, and, you know, just the determination that these guys have coming in, we're able to work with that. And these things you can apply to whatever it is that you're doing. You know, the things that I've learned here, you know, being a wrestler, I apply in my daily life.
Really discipline and determination, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's because you probably don't want to go on the mat. You're exhausted, and it's hard to stick with it for long periods of time when the goal is so far away, right?
It is,
but that applies to everything in life.
Yeah, no, it is, and you know, I think you're working for that ultimate goal. You know, what is that ultimate goal? And that could be anything for for a number of these guys. You know, for me, it was I want to be an Olympic champion. And did I reach my ultimate goal? No, I didn't. You know, I was an Olympic alternate in 2008. Didn't get my opportunity.
It's close enough.
You know, not really. Not in my eyes. But you know,
you don't get to do it again.
No, that's it for me.
Right.
And you know, so that was my ultimate goal. But then you have, you know, year goals, you have, you know, day goals, you have, you know, you gotta keep challenging yourself. And whether it be I'm coming into practice today and I have 3 things that I'm gonna focus on, you know, have that goal. You know, and if you do not reach it, be mad at yourself. You know,
start over the next day.
Tomorrow's a new day. You always have that. But be mad at yourself if you didn't reach that goal. You know, for these guys, their ultimate goal for this year is to be national champions, whether that be individually or as a team. And so that's what everybody's focusing on. And then we have guys that we sit down, we go have our goal meetings. And what is your goal for today? I don't want you to come in here without a purpose. Because if that's the case, there's no reason for you to be here. You
so every single day you want a purpose, every day.
I want you to come in here with a purpose because that's how you're going to get better. That's how you're going to challenge yourself.
You think people should do that in everyday life?
Yeah, I do. You know, what are we going to accomplish today? You know, in this office, you know, how are we going to make Cornell wrestling better today?
I had somebody say to me once, which was awesome, if you're not being productive to society, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I like that.
No, absolutely.
Right? So lay out your goal. How are you being productive? One guy said to me, think about your legacy and how you want what you want your legacy to look like before you even start.
Yeah.
And that guides you right to it, right?
That's good. That's good. I'm 100% agreeing upon that. You know, it's when I look back, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, and my sons are coming up through this, I want them to be proud. And you know, I think that is everything you're saying. You know, what do you want your legacy to be? And always trying to better yourself, and you know, challenging yourself to what are you going to do today to make yourself better or make this program better.
What's your favorite exercise?
Oh goodness, I hated burpees. I hated burpees.
Which means you should do them. I'm a big believer. Whatever you don't like, you got to do, right?
Absolutely. That's what Rob says his dad used to tell him. He said, you take, if you go in that room right now, we're all drilling and just going over technique, and 90% of those guys are all working on their feet. So on the mat, it's boring. It's not fun. Nobody wants to spend their time there, but that's where everybody can improve. And so Rob's dad used to tell him, he goes, find out what guys in the practice room like to do the least and make them do it. That's how they're going to get better.
I like that.
So I need to do more burpees.
Get out of your comfort zone, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks for doing
All
that.
right, man. Not a problem.
You know what he said? He said a quote from one of my favorite movies of all time. Never Say Die. Does anyone know what movie that's from?
No, but Never Say Die is not a James Bond.
Goonies, Never Say Die.
Goonies.
Well, yeah,
You guys never seen the Goonies?
Well, had you thrown the Goonie part in the front of the quote, we might have been able to guess that a little better.
That's what makes it a fun game.
That guy looks like Bane from Batman. How do you get the Goonies from that?
He is a tough fella.
He's amazing.
Goonies Never Say
Yeah.
Die. Neither do people up at Cornell.
For those that don't know, because it didn't come up anywhere in the video, and Joe wouldn't have known either, but you can take one look at him.
Yeah.
And that is a massive individual.
Yeah.
But he's always been that big. He was described as a man amongst boys when he was a high school wrestler. In the history of the United States, of the history of high school wrestling, he is judged to be the second or third best high school wrestler in the history of the United States.
Incredible.
So much so that he was a 2-time NCAA champion and a 4-time All-American, and some people thought he could have achieved more based on how good he was younger, where he competed against grown men when he was just a high school kid, and he beat collegiate and Olympic wrestlers as a high school kid.
It's interesting because then he went on to obviously to coach young men, and not necessarily high school, but at the university level. And I thought it was really great how he talked about how you need to figure out what's going to work with that athlete, right? And you need to figure out how to draw the most out of that athlete, and it's going to be different with different athletes. And so, here's a guy who had all this raw potential and raw skills and everything else. And he is interesting that he talked about his ultimate goal was to get to the Olympics, and Joe tried to let him off the hook. He said, well, good enough, right? Yeah. He said, no, not good enough. I didn't get that goal, right? But now he's using that skill to try and help other young men draw their goals out. So,
and he's done a great job. That program's done a great job between him, the coach. You look at, they had Kyle Dake there, 4-time award winner, 4 different weight classes.
Yeah.
They just crowned 2 individual champions this year, and Gabe Dean and Nashawn Garrett.
Yep.
So, they've had a great year. They've had, 12 straight years of being Ivy League champions?
Yeah.
So this is a program that has to match both athletics and academics.
Yep.
And so he talked about, who do you recruit then? Who do you go out and find, and what are the traits? And he talked a lot about family and the impact of family. And that's something we've talked about in many podcasts before, but just have the strength of the family. Zephyr was talking about the strength of the pack and the wolf and all that, but really, that's really the family, whatever your family dynamic is. But, all of those athletes came from families that were strong. A lot of them had athletic backgrounds as well. Dake's father, I think, was a wrestler. Anyway, they were all athletic and academic standards.
It's funny when you speak about the family support, and family support comes in different ways. Like, I thought it was really interesting how Nishan talked about how his mom did not want him to wrestle, actually forbid him to wrestle. He would sneak out at night.
You guys probably haven't seen that
that's
podcast
right.
yet.
Sorry.
But you will. Coming up. Yeah. No. But,
Okay, so yeah.
No. But I think what's important is family can be defined in like a myriad of ways. I don't think they're just saying like your nuclear family. And then I think when they talk about fighters, he says it's an innate ability or it's one that you find and you harness. Some kids like to kind of be like rustled up and smacked. You guys did wrestling. I didn't do wrestling. But or some people come in saying like, I'm ready to do this, and some people need that encouragement, and he's just awesome.
It's a fight or flight syndrome, right?
Yeah.
And when something happens, who fights and who flees? So there's already within each one of us, and maybe the same guy would act differently under different circumstances, but mostly the guys who step forward, most wrestlers, they like to fight. That's what they're doing. They're fighting.
He talks about the fighter mentality, and everything about him. Everything about him is powerful, isn't it? His language is powerful. He uses the terms discipline, and that exact phrase where he says, "Come in with a purpose." He wants them to come in with a purpose to that mat and do their very best. Like, even his language is powerful.
Yeah.
And I think he sets probably a great precedent for all the students under him.
And then the other thing that shows like real internal personal power, when he was asked what's the exercise you like the most, he said the one that I hate the most.
Yes.
That's the one that I like the most, right? I thought that was huge because, again, most people, they'll look for the easiest route. And he's like, no, the hardest route is one that's going to get me where I want to get to.
Yeah.
That's a fighter mentality.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You
he's
like
not
burpees,
afraid.
right?
There she
Fill
goes.
your boots.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Maybe I put one in there. All right, so let's go do more burpees and find out more at SpartanUpPodcast.com.
Thank you for listening to another epic story of success.
To find more show notes, lessons, audio, video, and everything Spartan, please visit us at Spartan.com/podcast.
The Spartan Up podcast is brought to you by Spartan.
To find a race near you, visit Spartan.com.
If you like our message, please help us get the word out. Tell your friends about Spartan Up, and go ahead and subscribe on iTunes or YouTube, wherever you watch or listen to the show.